I need to be honest with you. Most preppers are making the exact same mistake, and it is costing them serious money. While everyone is focused on the big-ticket survival items, I have been quietly building a stockpile of 13 dirt-cheap staples that nobody talks about. And here is the wild part. During the last major shortage in my area, these items were sitting fully stocked on shelves, while rice and beans were gone in hours. Number 9 on this list costs less than $1 per pound and provides more complete nutrition than almost anything in your pantry right now. And when I tell you about number 5, you are going to kick yourself for not thinking of it sooner. It has been a survival staple for literally centuries, but modern preppers completely ignore it. If you are serious about prepping on a budget, hit that subscribe button right now because I'm about to share strategies that could save you thousands of dollars. Let's get into it. Look, grocery prices are rising faster than most people can keep up with. I've done the math for you. I put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact 15 items you can get at Aldi, Walmart, or Costco today to feed your family for 2 weeks. It's 28,000 calories for less than the cost of a takeout pizza. You can grab that shopping list for free at the link in the description so you can stop worrying and start prepping. Item number 1 is popcorn kernels. Yeah, I know what you were thinking. Popcorn? But listen to this. Whole popcorn kernels are one of the most calorie-dense foods you can store for the price. A 5-pound bag costs about $4 and contains roughly 8,000 calories. That is less than a penny per 100 calories. But here is what makes this brilliant. Popcorn kernels last 8 to 10 years when stored in airtight containers. Compare that to crackers or chips that go stale in months. I learned this from an old farmer who grew up during the Depression. He told me his family survived entire winters eating popcorn as a main staple, not just as a snack, but ground into cornmeal for bread, cooked into porridge, and yes, popped for quick calories. The versatility is insane. You can pop it over an open fire, on a camp stove, or even in a pan with no oil. You can grind it into flour for baking. You can cook the kernels whole like hominy. And when morale is low, fresh popped corn feels like comfort food. It triggers those good memories. I keep about 50 pounds in food-grade buckets with oxygen absorbers. Total cost was around $40. That is 80,000 calories of shelf-stable food that takes up minimal space. And here is the kicker. During shortages, nobody is panic buying popcorn kernels. They are buying the microwave stuff that expires quickly. Meanwhile, these whole kernels just sit there waiting. Item number 2 is peanut butter powder. This one changed everything for me. Powdered peanut butter. The regular stuff in jars goes rancid within months of opening. But powdered peanut butter lasts up to 4 years unopened, and even after opening, it stays fresh for months. Here is why this matters. Fat and protein are the 2 things most prepper foods lack. Rice has neither. Beans have protein, but almost no fat. Powdered peanut butter gives you both in a shelf-stable form. 2 tablespoons reconstituted gives you 6 grams of protein and enough healthy fats to keep you satisfied. But the real genius is the weight and space savings. 1 pound of powdered peanut butter equals about 4 pounds of regular peanut butter. For bug-out bags or limited storage space, this is massive. I discovered this after a camping trip where I carried regular peanut butter and it leaked everywhere, ruining half my gear. Never again. Now I only use powdered. You can mix it with water, to make regular peanut butter consistency. Or here is my secret. Add it directly to oatmeal, smoothies, rice, or even soups for instant protein and flavor. No mixing required. Storage is brain dead simple. Keep it in the original container or transfer to mason jars. Keep it cool and dry. That is it. I stock about 10 pounds at around $60 total. That is equivalent to 40 pounds of regular peanut butter at a fraction of the storage space, and with years longer shelf life. Item number 3 is white vinegar. Most preppers think of vinegar as just a cleaning supply, but this is a massive mistake. White vinegar is one of the most versatile survival items you can stockpile, and it literally never goes bad. Never. The FDA does not even require an expiration date on vinegar because the acidic nature makes it impossible for bacteria to grow. Here is what I use it for: food preservation. You can pickle vegetables to extend their life by months. Water purification. Adding a few drops to questionable water helps kill pathogens. Cleaning and disinfecting without chemicals. Cooking. It adds acidity to balance flavors in bland survival food. And even basic first aid for treating minor burns and jellyfish stings. Last summer, during a week-long power outage, I used vinegar to preserve 20 pounds of vegetables from my garden that would have rotted. I made quick pickles that lasted months. That food saved us serious money. A gallon of white vinegar costs about $3. I keep 10 gallons in my storage area. That is $30 for a lifetime supply of one of the most useful substances in survival situations. Think about it. When the grid goes down, how are you going to preserve fresh food? Canning requires equipment and energy, but vinegar pickling can be done cold. No cooking required. Just submerge vegetables in a vinegar salt water solution and you have got food that lasts. Item number 4 is whole oats, not instant oatmeal packets. Whole oat groats or steel-cut oats. Instant oatmeal goes stale and loses nutrition fast, but whole oats stored properly last 30 years. I am not exaggerating. Whole oats in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers will outlive you. The nutrition is outstanding. Oats have more protein than most grains, around 13 grams per cup. They are loaded with fiber that keeps you full and regulates digestion, critical when you are eating weird survival food combinations. And they contain beta-glucan, which supports immune function. Here is what makes oats perfect for preppers. They require minimal cooking. Boil water, add oats, wait 10 minutes. In a fuel-scarce situation, that efficiency matters. You can eat them hot or make overnight oats with cold water. No cooking needed. They are incredibly versatile. Beyond oatmeal, you can grind them into flour for baking, add them to soups as a thickener, or use them in homemade granola bars. I paid about $50 for 50 pounds of whole oats from a bulk supplier. That is 1 penny per ounce. Compare that to those expensive freeze-dried breakfast meals at $8 per serving. My family can eat oatmeal every morning for months on what some preppers spend on 1 week of freeze-dried food. Storage tip: get food-grade buckets, add oxygen absorbers, and seal them up. Write the date on the bucket. Your grandkids could eat those oats. Item number 5 is lentils. Yeah, everyone talks about beans, but lentils are the underrated champion. Here is why. Beans require overnight soaking and hours of cooking. Lentils cook in 20 minutes with no soaking. In a survival situation where fuel is limited, that is game-changing. The nutrition is incredible. Lentils pack 18 grams of protein and 16 grams of fiber per cup. They are loaded with iron, folate, and potassium. And unlike beans, they do not cause the same digestive issues. Your family will thank you for that. I tested this during a winter storm that knocked out power for 5 days. I was cooking on a small camp stove and fuel was precious. Lentils allowed me to make hot, nutritious meals in minutes. Meanwhile, my neighbor was struggling to cook beans that stayed hard because he could not boil them long enough. Lentils come in different varieties: red lentils, green lentils, brown lentils, black lentils. Each has a slightly different flavor and texture. I keep a mix of all types for variety. Total investment was about $40 for 40 pounds. They last 5 to 10 years in proper storage, and the versatility is unmatched. You can make lentil soup, lentil curry, lentil burgers, or cook them plain and add to rice. They absorb whatever flavors you add, making them perfect for stretching limited spices and seasonings. Item number 6 is whole black peppercorns. This sounds crazy, but hear me out. Whole black peppercorns last indefinitely when stored in airtight containers. Pre-ground pepper loses flavor in months and goes stale. But whole peppercorns keep their potency for decades. Here is why this matters more than you think. In a long-term survival situation, food monotony destroys morale. Eating bland rice and beans every day breaks people down psychologically, but freshly ground black pepper transforms meals. It adds heat, complexity, and makes cheap food taste expensive. I learned this from a guy who did 2 years of Peace Corps in rural Africa. He said the one thing that kept him sane was a pepper grinder. That little bit of fresh spice made rice and beans feel like real food. Beyond flavor, black pepper actually aids digestion and nutrient absorption. There's a compound called piperine that increases your body's ability to absorb nutrients by up to 30%. When you are living off limited food, maximizing nutrition absorption is critical. A 1-pound bag of whole peppercorns costs about $15 and will last you years. I keep 3 pounds in mason jars. Get yourself a manual pepper grinder, the kind that does not need batteries. Every meal gets fresh cracked pepper, and suddenly your survival food does not feel like punishment. Item number 7 is bouillon powder. Not cubes, but the big containers of bouillon powder. Here is the difference. Powder dissolves instantly and gives you way more control over flavor intensity. One container has enough to make 30 quarts of broth and costs about $8. Think about what broth does. It turns plain rice into a flavorful side dish. It makes bland vegetables taste rich. It adds that savory umami flavor that makes your brain think you are eating something substantial. I keep both chicken and beef bouillon powder. Total cost was under $20, and I have got enough to transform hundreds of meals. But here is the survival hack. Bouillon is not just flavoring. It is salt, minerals, and electrolytes. In a high-stress survival situation, especially in heat, you are losing sodium through sweat. Bouillon in your water provides necessary electrolyte replacement. Storage is simple. Keep the lid tight. Store it in a cool, dry place. It lasts for years. And while preppers are spending $50 on freeze-dried soup mixes, you have got the exact same flavor boost for a fraction of the cost. Item number 8 is salt in bulk. I mean serious bulk. Most preppers keep a container or two, but salt is so cheap and so critical that you should have 50 pounds minimum. Here is why. Salt never expires. It is a mineral. It cannot go bad. Humans have been preserving salt for thousands of years because it is literally a survival essential. Your body cannot function without sodium. You will die without it. But beyond keeping you alive, salt is how you preserve meat and fish. You can make jerky that lasts months. You can salt cure vegetables. You can use it for pickling and fermenting. During a long-term collapse, the ability to preserve fresh food is priceless. A 50-pound bag of salt costs about $15. That is 30 cents per pound. I keep mine in the original bag inside a larger food-grade bucket to keep moisture out. Think about this. In ancient times, salt was literally used as currency. Roman soldiers were paid in salt, which is where the word salary comes from. That is how valuable it was. Stock up now while it is dirt cheap. Item number 9 is dried split peas. This is the most underrated prep food that exists. Split peas cost about 80 cents per pound and provide 25 grams of protein per cup. That is more protein than most meats, and it costs pennies. They cook faster than whole beans, about 45 minutes with no soaking required. And the shelf life is incredible. Stored in airtight containers, split peas last 5 to 10 years. But here is what makes split peas genius. They break down when cooked, creating this thick, hearty texture that makes soups and stews feel substantial. You feel full, you feel satisfied. That psychological component matters when you are rationing. I made split pea soup during a test run of my food storage, and my kids, who normally complain about survival food, asked for seconds. It was filling, flavorful, and felt like real food. I keep 30 pounds of split peas. It cost me about $25. That is over 150 servings of high-protein meals. Compare that to canned soup at $3 per can with maybe 5 grams of protein. Item number 10 is baking soda. Most people think baking soda is just for baking, but it is a survival multi-tool. It lasts forever. The box says it expires, but that is for peak leavening power. For everything else, it never goes bad. Here's what I use baking soda for: baking bread when combined with vinegar or lemon juice, cleaning and deodorizing everything from dishes to laundry, treating heartburn and indigestion when eating weird food combinations, fire extinguisher for small grease fires, toothpaste and deodorant when supplies run out, treating minor skin irritations and bug bites. A 5-pound bag costs $6. I keep 20 pounds in storage. That is $24 for years of utility. During a power outage last year, I used baking soda to wash all our dishes and laundry. Because our regular soaps ran out, it worked perfectly. Item number 11 is yeast, but you need to store it correctly. Regular active dry yeast in those little packets expires quickly. But if you buy yeast in bulk and freeze it, it lasts years. I keep 2 pounds of bulk yeast vacuum sealed in my freezer. It cost about $15. That is enough yeast to bake hundreds of loaves of bread. Here is why this matters. Bread is morale. Fresh baked bread smells like home, like safety, like normal life. In a crisis when everything feels chaotic, pulling fresh bread out of the oven brings people together. I have tested yeast that I froze 4 years ago, and it still works perfectly. You can also use yeast to make pizza dough, cinnamon rolls, and even homemade alcohol if things get really desperate. Combine yeast with your stored flour and salt, and you have got bakery quality food from pennies worth of ingredients. Item number 11 in our preparedness plan is yeast. But this isn't about tossing a few packets into your pantry. It's about a critical storage strategy. Those small standard packets of active dry yeast found on most grocery shelves expire quickly, often losing their potency long before the date printed on the label. The key to long-term readiness is buying yeast in bulk and implementing proper cold storage. If you purchase yeast in a larger commercial grade package and immediately freeze it, its shelf life extends from months to years, essentially becoming an indefinitely stored commodity. I personally maintain a supply of 2 pounds of bulk yeast, which I keep meticulously vacuum sealed to prevent freezer burn and moisture infiltration. This 2-pound quantity, which typically costs a modest $15 to $20, represents an astonishing reserve. It is enough yeast to leaven literally hundreds of loaves of artisan bread, countless batches of pizza dough, or dozens of sweet treats. Bread is morale. It is a powerful psychological tool. When a crisis hits and the world outside feels chaotic, unpredictable, and frankly scary, the simple, familiar act of baking provides immense comfort. The scent of fresh-baked bread, rich, warm, and inviting, pervading your home, instantly conjures feelings of safety, normalcy, and stability. Pulling that golden-crusted loaf out of the oven is a communal, stress-relieving moment that brings people together, grounding them in a shared experience of warmth and sustenance. My long-term testing confirms the reliability of this storage method. I have successfully used and baked with yeast that has been continuously frozen for 4 years, and it performed perfectly, activating with the same vigorous bubble as a brand new packet. The versatility of this stored ingredient is also crucial. Beyond classic loaves, your stored yeast can be used for making incredible homemade pizza dough, fluffy cinnamon rolls, and in a truly desperate scenario, it is an essential catalyst for fermenting homemade alcohol. By combining your carefully stored yeast with your bulk reserves of flour and salt, 2 other essential, stable ingredients, you possess the components necessary to create bakery-quality food from ingredients that collectively cost mere pennies. This is a vital resource for self-sufficiency and emotional well-being. Item number 12 is canning jars. Even if you do not can food, buy jars. They are insanely useful for storage. Dried goods stay fresh longer in glass jars than in plastic. You can see what you have at a glance. They stack efficiently. And if you need to, you can use them for actual canning later. I bought 10 cases of mason jars on sale for about $60. That is 120 jars. I use them to store rice, beans, lentils, oats, sugar, salt, spices, everything. They create an airtight seal that keeps moisture and pests out. Plus, here is a survival use most people miss. Jars are great for sprouting seeds to grow fresh greens indoors during winter. Item number 12, and this is a crucial one, is canning jars. Do not make the mistake of thinking you only need these if you plan to preserve food by canning. Buy them, and buy a lot of them. They are, simply put, insanely useful for a multitude of storage needs around the house and for preparedness. Glass jars offer a significant advantage over most plastic containers. Your dried goods, think rice, beans, flour, sugar, dried fruits, pasta, spices, even coffee beans, maintain their freshness for a noticeably longer duration when stored in the non-porous environment of glass. The clarity of the glass is another massive organizational benefit. You can instantly see precisely what you have, how much is left, and whether it's time to restock, without having to open a lid or read a poorly placed label. Furthermore, their design is inherently efficient for storage. They stack remarkably well on pantry shelves or in deep storage areas, maximizing your vertical space better than most oddly shaped plastic bins. And, of course, if the need ever arises, their primary purpose remains intact. You can use them for actual long-term canning later on, giving them an inherent dual-purpose value. I personally invested in a massive stockpile, buying 10 full cases of quality mason jars when they went on a deep clearance sale. I secured all 120 jars for a total outlay of about $60, a steal for the long-term utility they provide. I now employ these jars to store virtually every dry good in my pantry: rice, black beans, various lentils, rolled oats, granulated sugar, coarse salt, a vast array of bulk spices, and countless other staples. Crucially, when sealed properly with the metal lid and ring, they create a truly airtight and watertight seal. This seal is absolutely essential for keeping out both moisture, which ruins dry goods quickly, and insidious pantry pests like weevils or moths. Plus, here is a survival use most people completely miss when thinking about prepper supplies. Jars are an unparalleled, perfect vessel for sprouting seeds. You can easily turn them into mini greenhouses to grow fresh, highly nutritious greens like alfalfa, mung beans, or radish sprouts indoors throughout the dead of winter, providing a vital source of fresh vitamins and minerals when outdoor gardening is impossible. Item number 13 is cooking oil in quantity. Most preppers store a bottle or two, but oil is critical. Your body needs fat to survive. Cooking oil provides concentrated calories, about 120 calories per tablespoon. In a survival situation, those calories matter. I buy vegetable oil in gallon jugs when it goes on sale. I have seen it as low as $5 per gallon. Stored in a cool, dark place, it lasts 1 to 2 years. I rotate through it by using the oldest first and replacing it regularly. 10 gallons of oil is 160,000 calories. That is serious survival fuel. You can use it for cooking, making salad dressings, preserving food, and even making candles or oil lamps if you get desperate. Item number 13 in your stockpile should be a substantial quantity of cooking oil. Most novice preppers might only set aside a single bottle or two, which is a critical oversight. Oil is not merely a cooking medium, it is essential to human survival. Your body absolutely requires dietary fat to function properly and absorb fat-soluble vitamins. Cooking oil is a highly concentrated source of calories, delivering approximately 120 dense calories in a single tablespoon. In a long-term survival or emergency scenario, access to such concentrated fuel can be the difference between maintaining your strength and rapidly deteriorating. That's why I prioritize buying vegetable or similar long shelf life oils in bulk, specifically gallon-sized jugs, whenever they are featured in a store-wide sale. I have consistently found it possible to purchase high-quality cooking oil for as little as $5 per gallon during these sales events, making it a very cost-effective survival investment. To maximize its usable life, cooking oil must be stored in optimal conditions: a cool, consistently dark location away from heat and direct sunlight. Under these conditions, the oil will maintain its quality for 1 to 2 years, though some varieties may last longer. A rigorous rotation system is mandatory to ensure freshness. I make it a strict rule to use the oldest stock first in my daily cooking, and immediately replace it with a newly purchased fresh jug. I aim to keep a minimum of 10 gallons in my reserves. To put that in perspective, 10 gallons of cooking oil provides approximately 160,000 calories. That incredible caloric density makes it serious, indispensable survival fuel. Beyond simple cooking, you can utilize this stored oil for a multitude of purposes: creating flavorful salad dressings, oil packing and preserving other foods, like dried tomatoes or herbs, and in the direst circumstances, it can even be rendered into basic homemade candles or used as fuel in rudimentary oil lamps to provide essential light. Look, the point of all this is simple: prepping does not have to cost thousands of dollars. These 13 items total less than $400, and they provide a foundation that will keep you fed, healthy, and sane during a real crisis. While other people are maxing out credit cards on freeze-dried meals, you can build a rock-solid stockpile for the price of a car payment. So here's what I want you to do. Pick 3 items from this list and go buy them this week. Do not wait. Do not overthink it. Just start. And if this video helped you, smash that subscribe button, because next week I am breaking down the biggest prepping mistakes that could get you killed. You do not want to miss it.